constitutional mandate.
Absolutely.
So where a constitutional mandate empowers the Supreme Court to make rules, those have a certain sanctity attached to them.
My lord, we have to also see what is the constitution mandate as a whole. The constitution itself recognizes this principle of delegation of powers. Even the parliament has the parliamentary parties. The function, certain functions like the law-making function is delegated to the select committees or the thing. So that also works in the company law also. That is, I think, one of the fundamental principles of law as a whole, that the powers can be delegated to another person or within that body. So that is what my submission is.
This is not a delegation of power. This is not a delegation of power. ये तो Chief Justice along with two members of the bench or the Supreme Court will make the cause list or the benches.
That if
Chief Justice has himself not delegated any power to the other two judges.
Then
so this is not the case of delegation.
then the question would arise that the Supreme Court delegated the power to the Honorable Chief Justice. Now, whether this Honorable Supreme Court itself as a whole can draw or replace those powers, or the Parliament can do that. The Parliament cannot do that.
Is it your argument that Article 191 does not delegate this power to the Parliament?
To the Parliament, absolutely.
In order to shield the working of the Supreme Court, Article 191 specifically says the Supreme Court would make its rules.
And my lord,
Now, what if one were to flip the argument, what prevents the Parliament from making a law to say, okay, matters relating to 184(3), formation of benches, sitting of benches, the number of judges who would sit on each bench would now onwards be determined by the Parliament.
right?
Would be determined by the Parliament. I mean, अगर
मतलब
उनके पास अगर legislative competence है, तो वो ये कानून क्यों नहीं बना सकते?
Look,
My
that
question to you is that.
My lord, my answer very quick.
If I may add to that, just add to that, what if Parliament makes a law saying that all of these things which my learned colleague has specified, the power to that is delegated to the federal government?
Yes.
My lord,
There is no end to it. Then their separation of powers becomes a completely illusory concept. Whereas there are innumerable judgments saying it is one of the most fundamental principles. The executive branch has been kept out. The Attorney General argued on the last date that in respect of rule-making power, previous constitutional dispensations had said rule-making power will be with the previous sanction of President, meaning executive branch. And learned Attorney General told us that in this law, the executive branch has been kept out of the rule-making power. But what is if this power vests in Parliament says the federal government बनाएगी rules?
my lord, if I may,
I mean, there is then no end to
there
it.
is no end to it. But if I may jump my arguments, I made them systematically.
नहीं, आप आर्ग्यू करें जैसे आपको करना है. कितना वक्त आप लेंगे?
My lord, if your lordship go uninterrupted, maybe half an hour. my lord.
ठीक है, हम आप वापस आते हैं.
My lord.
ये लर्नड काउंसिल एक क्वेश्चन जो है वो ज़हन में रखिए. Again, I will reiterate, this is a law that ensures access to justice, whether it's the appeal, and also secures, promotes the internal independence of the judiciary. So is the Parliament not competent to do that?
I will answer you very.
चलिए वापसी में आते हैं. हाँ.